Okay, today we are going to start our Valentine's Day card so that you can give it to your significant other or maybe your parents for some of you. Maybe your parents want to haul a Valentine's Day card from you. So today we're going to start with just clicking the plus new project. That's just going to open a blank screen for us. Maybe. I know. Could not create the project. Please try again. What's happening? All right, and I'm going to name this Valentine Quentin R. What a great name. We'll call this Day 1. Now, the nice part about this project is that it's completely up to you. Everything that you do on this project will be up to you. I will give you requirements for the project. And today we're going to kind of handle the first requirement. So you're going to need to go to Google and you're going to need to search just some picture that you want in your holiday card, your Valentine's Day card, in order to act as a sprite for you. So I'm going to look at Cupid. I'm just going to do an image search. I like this Cupid right here. And I'm going to save this image. So right click and save image as. And then Cupid. You don't have to do Cupid. You could do a heart or I don't know what you could do. Whatever you want to do. Now when I go back to my scratch page, if I click on the, just hover over the choose a sprite, and I can go to upload sprite, and then I can go to my desktop and click Cupid, and now I have this sprite here. Now that's going to be a little big to use as a sprite, so I would want to size that down. And I'm going to size it down to say, let's try 50. That's pretty good. However, if we look at this as a sprite, is this a good sprite to have? Like when I look at this, I see problems. One of my problems is that I have this background. And so if I'm using something as a sprite, or it's going to act as a character on my card, then you wouldn't think that you want to have a background on it. So that's all that we're going to do today. Today we're going to look at finding a way to get this sprite in here without the background. So since I've, doesn't it? Aren't you fancy? All right, so let's click on costumes if you do have a background. Someone took a screenshot. And if I click on this little eraser over here, you're going to see that I can start erasing my background, which is nice. Oops, already erased one of the hearts. As you can tell, I already have a problem as we talk about erasing the background though. I mean, I'm not very nimble with my mouse. As you can tell, I've erased part of Cupid's wing. We can zoom in to erase. See, I'm getting part of his face too. I can change the size of my eraser, really size that down so that I'm erasing a tiny little bit with each click, so I can get into his hairline. Some of you look like your hairline was not done that way. Like, real glitchy, real messed up. As you can tell, this method is not 100% effective because I end up erasing like part of the picture, and so it makes it look a little bad. But if worse comes to worse, this is a possibility for you. And again, sizing your eraser up and down will help if you choose to use this method. However, yes, you did. Everyone knows, Logan. You're embarrassed. It's fine. Now look what you made me do. I said your name in the video. So I'm going to have to edit that out. You're the worst. Okay, so if you look at my busted Cupid now, I erased part of his head up here. I messed his bangs up over here. I knocked out part of his wing. And so it creates a problem for you if you're not great with the mouse. Look at that. Busted them up. So I'm going to undo everything I did. I wanted to show you that as a potential way of doing this process and show you basically what the hard way was. Another way that you can do it is you could pick a background or pick a sprite that doesn't have a background, as someone in the current class has done, and pointed out that they were way smarter at me than picking their sprite. It's alright though. We don't all have to be as smart as that person. Because there's another option for eliminating a background. What you do want to make sure that you do is pick a solid colored background, whether it be white or any other color. And we can click on this little arrow with the box around it. And when I click on that, it's going to give me like a highlight tool, which is not all that useful. But if I click on the line, maybe, please hold while I figure out what I'm talking about. Yeah, this is a bad sprite for it because I think there's variations in the background. But if I click on the little paint bucket and where it's the fill, click on that down arrow and then the orange line, it'll actually make it so that I can get rid of all of this background. On a lot of the ones, the background is exactly the same across the board. So by choosing that same background, you'd be able to get rid of it, all of it at once. This must have some slight variations in my coloration, because I have to click multiple times. But it is still eliminating the background for the most part. And you'll still see some little pieces here and there. It's kind of a painstaking process still. With some of the other ones I've used, it actually will get rid of it all at once. So if you get a situation like I have right now, You might actually want to try a new sprite or a new picture to see if the background is all the same. You'll hit a certain point where if I'm looking at the right over here, it's not a big deal anyways. So I can barely see that brown part on the top. That's still up here. As long as I get fairly cleaned out around Cupid, it shouldn't be a big deal. Alright, so that looks pretty good around Cupid. I do have some spots out on the edges, like on my corners here, that I can still see background. And that'd be a good time to just go with my eraser, make it a big size, and just get rid of those areas. That way it kind of clears some of this mess out. Always remember that the undo button is a possibility up on the top. So if you make a mistake, you can get rid of it. Alright, so my Cupid is pretty cleaned up here on the side. I think I might have one across the bottom. But this is a way that we could create our own sprite by just pulling an image. You could also feel free to draw your own sprite for this project if you wanted to create it that way. That way you wouldn't have to upload an image. I find that to be pretty hard because I have very little artistic talents. The first C I ever got in my life was an art class. So. Alright, once you're done, I think I'm pretty good with this. As a matter of fact, I can maximize my window and see that I'm pretty satisfied with how my Cupid looks. And so I've cleaned my sprite up enough for my own personal liking. I'm not going to be too crazy about it. Obviously, Scratch does not have the absolute best software for this. If you had a Photoshop or a Adobe Illustrator, you could clean these images much nicer and much quicker. So that is literally all we did for today. Cleaned up our sprite and uploaded our own. Love when